Cody Lewis through a mutual friend. And it really just started off as a conversation about real estate and what, running an independent brokerage looked like and versus a team. And then we started canyoneering together. And over the course of the next couple of years, I repeatedly put my life in his hands. So first of all, there's nobody really that I trust more than I trust Cody. And the other thing that I will share with you is the depth of the knowledge. If Cody knows something, he is going to go all in and know everything that possibly can be known about it. Otherwise, he's just not going to be interested in it. So today's discussion has a lot of depth. And I'll start this morning, Cody, so we're going to talk about financials. We're going to talk about some numbers. We're going to talk about compounding growth and interest and things like that. What qualifies you to speak on this?
Well, first of all, I watched a YouTube video last night on it, so that should be, I should be just set, right?
And a Holiday Inn Express.
Yeah, exactly. So I have an undergrad degree in economics, and then I have a master's degree in business. And let's just say I took a lot of math, finance classes in all of that schooling that I did. So I definitely have taken quite a bit of really traditional educational classes on finances and money management, those kinds of things.
And after you completed your master's degree, I believe it was at Michigan, right?
Yep.
After you completed your master's degree there, you worked for a small automotive company. What was that name of that company again?
Yeah, you might have heard of it. It's Ford Motor Company.
Yeah.
And they make a few cars.
Yeah. And you dealt in the numbers side of the business, right?
Yeah. I was on there. I was one of the finance employees there, and learned how to use Excel like a champ when in that job.
Boom, boom, boom. All right, Cody. Well, I'm gonna kind of be a little different style because we're not just interviewing you. It's kind of a workshop, a learning process. So I'm gonna work with you, but I'm gonna have you take off and lead how you want to start.
Cool. All right. So first thing I'm going to say is that I'm not a certified financial planner, and don't rely on me for any investment advice. This is my little disclaimer. If you pick a bad stock, which I would never advise you do, but if you pick a bad stock and you lose all your money, that's on you, not on me. So, but I do think that if you pay attention today, you're going to pick up a few things that might help you just a little bit. So I want to start off by everybody, and if your video isn't on and you feel like you can cheat, you're only cheating yourselves if you cheat on this, okay? So what I want everyone to do is, for just a minute, I want everybody to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that there's this little machine that if you put a dollar bill into it, so it's got a little slot. Imagine like it's a device a little bit bigger than your cell phone, but kind of that same shape. It's a little rectangular shape. And if you slide a dollar bill into the little slot, like the cash receiver at the grocery store, what comes out the other side is more than $1. So think about that for a second. I will tell you that I actually have one of these little machines. So if you had one of these little machines, the question I want you to ask yourself is, what would you do with that little machine? Joe, what would you do with it?
Oh, I'd be feeding it daily, every day.
Okay. All right. Would you just keep putting in $1 bills?
Oh, no, we're going to supersize that.
Yeah, all right. Wouldn't you want your machine to, wouldn't you say, well, shoot, if I can have this little phone-sized one, what if I get a big one and it can receive many $100 bills at once? Okay. Now, what if that little machine was the amount of money that it spit out once you put the money in was larger based on how patient you were willing to be for it to give it back to you? Oh. In other words, if you put the dollar in and it immediately gives you out a little bit more, what if you could wait a little bit longer and that machine would put more money out than if you got it immediately? So ask yourselves honestly this question. You can open your eyes by this point if you haven't figured it out, but ask yourself the question: if you had that machine what would you do with it? Now, everybody does something a little different with it when they get it, but what would you do with it? Now, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about principles instead of practices. So there are people out there who are high income earners and low wealth accumulators. And the thing that's interesting about them, those people, is that the very characteristics in them that make them high income earners sometimes are the same characteristics that make them low wealth accumulators. Okay, so lots of people, and especially in real estate, we do this. We want to talk about, well, what are the practices that are going to make us successful? Well, practices are subjective, and they're based on situations that are constantly changing. Principles are what should be driving our practices, because principles are tried and true and they last forever. So we're going to focus on principles more than we're going to focus on practices. Now, we can talk about those practices, but in my opinion, when you're talking about finance and money, you should first understand principles, because your particular practices are going to be how you're going to use the little magic money machine for you and how it serves you in your life. So I call that the LM cubed, or the LMMM, the little magic money machine. Okay, and I'm going to show you the power of the little magic money machine. Okay. All right, so the way we're going to talk about some principles today is we're going to go through a few myths. Okay, the first myth that people tell themselves related to money is that they have to be disciplined in order to build wealth. Now, I know that most books you read are going to say you have to have financial discipline in order to build wealth. So I'm not saying you don't need discipline. What I'm saying is that the myth is that most people, the definition they put on discipline is wrong. So discipline sounds like such a negative word. It sounds like, oh, I'm gonna have to put all these restrictions on myself so that I can't do the things that I want to do. That's what most people think about when they think of discipline, right? So Joe, what if I said to you, hey Joe, I just bought a brand new Lamborghini.
Okay.
You'd be happy for me, right?
And
then what if I said to you, but you know what I did to it? I took the steering wheel out of it. That's the response you'd have, wouldn't it? And then you'd, well, Cody, why'd you take the steering wheel out of it? Well, because if I have a steering wheel in it, it'll drive only the direction I want it to drive. It's restricted to where I turn the wheel, and I want my Lamborghini to be unrestricted. Does that make any sense in the world? None.
No.
None at all. So the steering wheel is the discipline to your Lamborghini, okay? It's not a negative thing. A discipline is the thing that lets you have all the things you want to have. So here's the principle. You got to know, the principle of discipline is that you got to know how much money you're spending. Now, most people don't know this, okay? When you say to somebody, someone says, oh, I want to be healthy and I want to lose weight, let's say, but you say to them, well, what are you putting into your body? Well, I eat healthy. Well, no, they aren't. They don't really know. Okay, most people don't really know what you're spending. So you got to know what you're spending. And the way you got to know that is you got to track it. So there's many, many different ways to do that. But the simplest thing I can think of is to take out a piece of paper and get a pen, this old-fashioned thing, a pen, and write down a few categories. Household related, like your mortgage company, your mortgage payment or your rent. If you have car payments, so the big items there. And then put a few other categories like fun or, discretionary spending, or however you want to call that. And then for a few months in a row, you got to write down every single thing you spend money on. Now, this is actually a really difficult principle for most people in practice to do, because we have this little magic piece of plastic called a credit card, and it makes it easy to spend, and it's hard for people to know what they're spending. So if you find this difficult to do what I call the envelope budget. And I've done this with a few people that have asked my advice. So there's a few things that you pay that most people typically pay automatically, like your mortgage payment comes automatically out of your bank account or whatever. So you can write that one down on your piece of paper. But to the extent you can, everything else you're going to spend money on for a few months, do it with cash out of envelopes. Now, this sounds really archaic in the day of technology and everything, but it will teach you the principle really, really clearly. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, this is all the money I think I'm going to spend in the month. And so you write it all down, and then some of them are going to come out of your account automatically. You go to your bank and you withdraw the rest. Let's say it's $3,000. You withdraw the rest out, and you put some in the envelope for fun. You put some in the envelope for food. You put some in the envelope for gas. And for a few months, just try spending your money out of envelopes. And what always happens is people come back to me and they go, man, I ran out of the fun money way faster than I thought I was going to run out of that. I had no idea that I was cheating on myself and spending all this money every month on my credit card. So this is how it works. Income minus expense equals more savings or debt. That's it. You don't have to have an MBA to know that. However much income you have coming in minus whatever you're spending equals what you're going to save, or it's going to be coming out of savings, which is just a different form of going into debt. All right, let me think if there's anything else I want to talk about on that one.
I got a question for you, Cody.
Yep.
But I want to have fun. This doesn't sound like much fun.
The whole point, think, I'm just going to miss the whole point. See how smart I am? The whole point is that you're going to figure out your income. You're going to figure out what you should spend. Then you're going to have some extra. Discipline is that steering wheel that says, what are you going to do with it? Use discipline to decide what you're going to do with it. And what you're going to do with it is you're going to put some of it into the little magic money machine. And then you're going to use some of it to just absolutely splurge and reward yourself. So I one time saw a really funny thing in the newspaper. This guy had won $150,000 at one of the local casinos here. And they were interviewing him for this story. And they said, what are you going to do with the money? And he said, well, I'll probably take about 50,000 of it and spend it on alcohol, gambling, and women. And the rest of it I'll just waste. And I just love that story because it tells you that your definition of what's responsible with the money might be different than everybody else's definition of what's responsible with the money. But use discipline as something that rewards you. If you do this the right way, you will have money to put into the little magic money machine, and you will have money left over that you can reward yourself with. All right, let's go to the next principle because let me tell you one story related to that will really illustrate this point. In December of 2003, my mom gave me $100 for my birthday. And she said, Cody, I know you want this pair of golf shoes. It was the latest model of Tiger Woods golf shoes. And she said, I know you want this pair of golf shoes, but I don't know which pair it is. And I can't go find it and buy it for you. So I'm going to give you this $100, but you have to spend it on the shoes, because she knew me, right? She knew that I loved the little magic money machine, and she wanted me to get the shoes and not put it into the money machine. So I said, okay, I give you my word, I'll spend this money on the shoes. But she didn't say when. So what I did was I waited until those shoes were on sale for $60 because they were last year's model. And I had put my $100 into the little magic money machine while I waited, and it had been a good year. And so there was $110 coming out of the backside of the little magic money machine. And so I spent $60, which means I had $50 left over. Now I'm going to show you the details of the little magic money machine here in a minute. But I did the math the other day on this. Since I put that $50 that I had left over into the magic money machine, It is worth today $216.40. And if I leave it in the little magic money machine until I retire, so I'm 43, let's say I'm gonna retire at 65. When I retire, then it's going to be worth $1,800, $1,849.
Wait a minute. You're telling me $50 that you put aside is over 200 now and going to be worth over, was it 1,800?
$1,800, roughly $1,800, okay? But here's the crazy part. Let's say that I did that every year. Let's say that every year my mom gave me $100. I waited till it was worth 110. I bought what I was going to buy for on sale because it was last year's model. And so every year I put 50 in consistently. If I did that, then which I did, by the way, then my money is not worth $216. It's worth $1,849. And when I retire, it will be worth $15,453. So if I can do that with $50, can I not do that with more? Right? Can I not make that 15,000 be even more? So let's come back to that when we look at the numbers for the little magic money machine. I want to cover a couple of these other little principles first. So let me share with you guys my screen here. Let's talk about debt for a minute. Are you guys seeing my screen? Joe, are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's a myth out there that all debt is bad debt. Okay. Well, not all debt is created equal. I would agree with you that some debt is bad and some is okay. So right here, this is something that most people have seen. This is these numbers here. It's pretty typical for any kind of a financial workshop, but let's just review this really quick since we're kind of in this business. If you have a mortgage balance of, let's say, $250,000, and let's say that the interest rate is 4%, that means your principal and interest payment is going to be $1,193. And over the course of a 30-year amortization, that means you're going to spend $429,000 to pay off that $250,000. So we look at that and we all kind of go, ooh, man, because that's a difference right there of $180,000. So you're going to spend by renting that money from the mortgage company, you're going to spend $180,000 more than you're actually paying off. And that's a little bit of a scary thought, right? Because your house is costing you really a lot more. So, but there's a consideration to make here, and that is that when you take your mortgage and you pay the payment, some of it is going towards interest, but some of it is going towards principal. So you're taking money out of your right pocket and you're putting it into your left pocket. Because in general, houses hold their value, right? And in some cases, they actually appreciate. So you're taking money out of one pocket into the next pocket. And there are so many benefits of home ownership that incurring the debt to own a home is something that makes sense. So somebody might say to me, oh, well, the same would be true then for a car payment, because that's amortized. You're taking money out of your right pocket and you're paying some interest, but some of the money is going into your left pocket, which is true. However, the principle you got to understand is that your left pocket has a hole in it because your car is depreciating.
Hey, Marcellus, you got to mute yourself.
Sorry, I can do that, but it's hard when I'm
a
presenter.
Yeah.
So let me show you this right here. This is a little chart, and don't get overwhelmed with the numbers because I'm going to show you what I'm meaning with this.
Hold on, Cody, before you go to that, when you say on a car, your pocket has a hole in it, why is that?
Because the asset that the debt is on is depreciating.
So because the home mortgage, you're moving it from your right pocket to your left pocket, because the asset tends to appreciate, whereas a lot of toys and a lot of things like cars and things of that nature, they tend to go down in value over time.
Right. So
Okay.
even though you're paying down the balance, which is some of it is principal into your pocket, you're paying down the balance on a depreciating asset that it's leaking. Okay. And some pockets leak faster than other pockets, right? Some holes are bigger than other holes, but it's leaking. And in general, now we're talking about general principles. In general, your home value will hold or increase, where your car value will usually decrease. All right, so consumer debt, this right here is this is an analysis of what I call the true cost of debt. So people say to themselves, okay, if I incur this $2,400 of debt, if I pay $200 a month towards it, then it's only going to be a year before I have it paid off. But let's look at the true cost of debt here, okay? So in this column right here, it shows that we're going to repay.
Can you make that bigger? Not
let's see if I can.
Just what we can see.
Is that better?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so this column right here is showing that we're going to repay $1 of debt. And so this is saying, how much money do I have to earn in order to pay back the $1 of debt? So for every dollar of debt I'm going to repay, how much do I have to earn? Well, to understand that, you got to talk about where all your money is going to. Now, let's say that these right here are the income levels and the marginal tax rates. So what that means is that if you are, so this is filing single, this is married and filing jointly. But let's just look for a second at married or at filing single, okay? What this says is that for every dollar that you earn above 40,000, you're going to pay 22% on that dollar to taxes, because that's the marginal tax rate. Okay, so for every dollar up to a certain amount, you're going to pay a certain tax rate. Okay, so let's just say that you're in this income tax bracket right here. This is showing that for every dollar of debt you want to repay, you have to earn $1.55 in order to repay it. Now, this assumes that you're going to pay your taxes. This right here is assuming that you're going to give 2.1% of your income to charity, because 2.1% is the national average of what you're going to give to charity. And then you have your interest you have to pay on that debt. So when you take the amount you earned minus the tax, minus what you give to charity, minus the interest, you're going to pay back $1 of debt. Most people do not understand that they're going to have to earn 155% of whatever they've borrowed in order to pay back that debt. So if I have a marginal tax rate of 20% and I need to pay off a $10,000 credit card balance, I'm going to have to earn $15,000 or more in order to pay off that credit card balance. Is that making sense?
Yeah. So this is the bad debt, I would say, because based on the interest. And is that fair assessment? Credit cards you mentioned.
Yeah. So any consumer debt that is debt on assets that are depreciating, it's not necessarily true that you shouldn't do that, but it is generally true that you should avoid it, because the cost of repayment of that debt so far exceeds what you're expecting that it's something you can't really catch up to easily. You have to earn a lot more than if you do the Tiger Woods shoes example and you're on the other side of that coin. Because that same principle of why it's so hard to outrun the debt is why that same thing is what makes the little magic money machine work. All right, so we're almost out of time, and I haven't even shown you the little magic money machine yet. So let me talk about just one more principle before we go to the little magic money machine, and that is that you should have more than one source of income. Now, this is the thing that really, really attracted me to the EXP real estate brokerage model, because built into it is more than one source of income. And I was looking this morning, I looked this morning, and my stock awards for hitting icon status, so you know that's a $16,000 stock reward that they give you. They give you back your cap money in the form of stock, is worth today $29,700. So that $16,000 has increased in value because I have my money in the Magic Money Machine that's appreciating. And my total stock earned so far, which is, you know, just from doing my normal job, has a value today, because the stock price when I looked right before this call was $15.64. It has a value today of $76,245. So that is definitely the side of, you know, these numbers that I want, that side of the coin that I want to be on. Okay, let me show you this. This is the little Magic Money Machine right here. And this is basically showing, this is using an assumption of an investment yield of 9%, which is what the average has been for the appreciation of the market in general over the last 100 years.
Make that a little larger.
Well, I can't show it to y'all if I do, but.
Just a tiny bit. There you go.
Okay, so this is showing if I put in this amount of money one time, and this is showing how long I'm willing to wait for it to come out of the little Magic Money Machine, how much it will give me. And then this table over here is showing me how much did the little Magic Money Machine gift to me because I put the money in there. All right, so let's just take this. Let's say that let's say I get married at age 25 and somebody gives me a wedding gift of $5,000, okay? So I put that $5,000 into the little Magic Money Machine, and then I forget about it until I'm 60. Well, that's 35 years. That $5,000 will come out of the little Magic Money Machine, $102,000. And what that means is that it gave me $97,070 more than I put into it. That's a pretty cool little Magic Money Machine, if you ask me, okay? Now, let me show you what happens if it's consistent. So let me make this one bigger. What if I do the envelope budgeting method and I use discipline to figure out how I'm going to get the things that I want to get? And let's say that every year I can put money into the little Magic Money Machine. And let's say that on average, every year I put $5,000 into the little Magic Money Machine. And if I do that, and let's say I do that starting at age 25, then when I retire at 65 years old, that little Magic Money Machine will spit out $2,629,000. So this table shows how much I actually put into the little Magic Money Machine. Over the course of that time, I put in a total of $225,000. It's giving me $2.6 million, which means that it is giving me a gift of $2.4 million. So we're out of time. We promised everybody we'd be just 30 minutes, and we're there. It's fun to play around with these numbers a little bit to really understand the power of the little Magic Money Machine. But if you see the power of having put in just $5,000 a year consistently, what if you were able to, because over the course of your life, as you earn more income, if you maintain the same principles of discipline, which is where you're using it to give you what you want, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can put money into the little Magic Money Machine. You don't have to put $100,000 a year into it. in order for it to really reward you later. You can put $5,000 a year into it, be patient, and it's going to give you 2.6 million at the end when you're ready to retire. And most people, earning a typical income, most people are able to put in over the course of their life an average of more than $5,000 a year into the magic money machine. And so the reason that people are high income earners and low wealth accumulators usually is because they don't understand the right way to use discipline and the power of the magic money machine and the patience that it requires, right? You put it in there and be patient with it. And if everybody did this and followed these little simple principles from the time that they were starting out in their career early on, we wouldn't have the financial problems that we have in this country.
So I think the message today is quite simply, it doesn't matter how much you earn, although I'm not going to certainly lower my income. It's fundamentals and principles on how to create a life of wealth by using some discipline today and throughout, the next whatever number of years. And obviously, I remember seeing this many years back from a standpoint of the compounding interest, that somebody that starts at 25 and somebody who starts at 35, the 35-year-old will almost never be able to catch the 25-year-old, over time, because of that ball starts rolling. Yeah. So we had a question: did you learn the little money machine at Michigan? And I'm guessing the answer is probably no, because you were buying golf shoes as a kid.
Yeah, I learned that from my parents pretty early in my life about the little magic money machine.
And for the people that are on here, the little magic money machine is what?
So the little magic money machine is just to find somebody who can give you good financial advice about investing your money, help you do that in a diversified manner, put it into investments in the market. And this is stuff that's above my pay grade, right? I don't claim to know the answers to all of this, but you put it in the market the right way and you'll be successful. I will tell you this, my financial planner is a man that's local to Las Vegas. His name is Adam Dawson. He wrote a book called Timeless Principles of Financial Security. You can buy it on Amazon. I think it's like 12, 15 bucks. That book is unbelievable. It is simple and powerful, the message that is in it. The other book that I would recommend is The Millionaire Next Door. And that book is written by, let's see if I have that here. That book is written by Thomas Stanley and William Danko. So that's Timeless Principles of Financial Security by Adam Dawson and The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley and William Danko. Those two books have really, really good financial principles in them. Now, I will say this as the final parting statement. It does not matter how much money you earn. As long as you are earning enough to cover what you're spending, it does not matter how much money you earn. The power of the little magic money machine is there for you. And anybody who tells you that it isn't does not understand it. So if you're confused about that, I'm happy to just have a discussion with anybody personally on how they want to, set themselves up for the future with respect to these numbers. But if you earn more than you're spending, then you can do it. If you're spending more than you earn, then you got to earn more or you got to reduce your expenses. And it's a heck of a lot easier to reduce your expenses than it is to earn more. And most times you can do that. I have personally seen and helped people go from absolute poverty into very strong financial security. And with one family, it was the one simple thing I taught them was to do the budget in the envelope budgeting. They have never had problems with money since that day that they did it. It's very powerful.
Cody, I'm gonna suggest that we have a longer workshop on this conversation, and take it beyond the Power 30. I feel like a lot of the Power 30 is kind of an injection, a jolt. I think, and maybe it's just me, but I got to imagine there's other people in here looking like, how can I take the amount of money that I make and amplify it, right? And at the same token, we're going to work with the skills and help you to improve how to make more money. But the objective is not just to buy more stuff you don't need and accumulate more bad debt. It's how do you put yourself in a position where now you're working for fun, you know?
Well, we'll put it on the calendar. We'll do that for sure.
Okay.
What I would like to do is I would like to spend a little bit more time talking about this concept of discipline, because I'm telling you, most people are holding themselves back because they think of discipline as a negative thing and discipline is a positive thing. It's really the same coin. It's just which side of the coin are you looking at? Because if you're operating in, I'm afraid I won't have these things, what you're really saying is, I want things. So look at the things you want, figure out how to use discipline to get the things you want instead of being afraid you're not going to get them.
Discipline equals freedom.
Yes, it does.
I love that connection. All right. Well, outstanding. Cody, thank you so much for your pearls of wisdom, kind of open our minds up to a deeper discussion and some planning. As always, the Synergy Group, we're going to help each other grow, but we're going to do that more than just doing more real estate deals. How to grow your wealth and grow your life so it can be that much more effective. Cody Lewis,
Thank
are
you.
the man.
Fun having you guys. Talk to you later.
Take care, everybody.